Guess who we're talking about today?
Jason fucking Voorhees!
I've been doing a series off and on where I rank iconic movie posters from famous horror franchises. And of course, next, I'm going to do old Jason Voorhees himself from Friday the 13th. Let's waste no time, let's get started. I forgot my list. Coming in at number 12, I knew this one by heart because I've never rocked with this one. This is like the biggest piece of trash.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
This is Friday the 13th, The New Beginning. I mean, look at this. What the hell is this? For one, this isn't even a Jason mask. I know it's a Hockey Goldie mask, but it's not the Jason mask. I see a lot of people give this credit for like the red background and such and like the glow effect. I'm not rocking with that either. My biggest question though, what the hell is this around the eyeball? Looks like somebody went to Arby's and a piece of roast beef fell in the back of the goddamn fridge and sat there for 2 years and somebody found it and took a picture of it. Disgusting. And on this side, he doesn't even have an eyeball. Like, what? And I guess somebody could justify this as, well, it wasn't Jason, so they're trying to symbolize that it wasn't really Jason in the movie. But this isn't even a fucking Roy Burns mask either. It's the same thing with different chevrons. I don't know, I gotta stop before I go on my computer screen. So we're gonna move on. Next. Coming in at number 11 is Friday the 13th Part 2. Now this is lower on my list, but not because of the design flaws. The illustration or the artist who painted this in, wow man, phenomenal work. Look at this. Not only do you got the classic silhouette, but you got old baghead Jason coming out of the water grabbing old girl there off the canoe. And I love the details of Jason's face, the water dripping down, the cabins in the background, the woods, the moon. I love it all. The biggest problem is this is a direct rehash of the Part 1 poster. So for me, it's just a sheer lack of creativity. But at the end of the day, if I had to put this higher, I would. By personal preference, down at the bottom. But this is much better than the original Part 2 poster, which I post right here, which had absolutely nothing. Coming in at my number 10 is Jason Goes to Hell, H-E-double hockey slong. Now on the contrary to Part 2, which I just talked about, which I found really creative, but lacked a creative sense of its own unique and originality, this one is very creative. Matter of fact, there's too much going on in this poster. But let's check the tagline here. Evil has finally found a home. Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. Now, I do actually like the design of the chromed hockey mask. And the snake coming out of it it's hit or miss for me. Like, yeah, it's badass if you're into like demonic snakes coming out of hockey mask kind of shit. And I don't mind the flames in the background either. I just don't think they blend well together, like the images. Kind of just off-putting. The snake's face looks exactly like my old lady when I accidentally wake her up in the middle of the night. Nah, I'm just kidding. She's beautiful. If somebody was to redo this poster, I feel like if you take one of those classic images from the promo posters and you use that image instead and then made something along these lines. Matter of fact, I did this in my last video. I might try to recreate my own Jason Goes to Hell poster and show how a poster is supposed to be done. I might do that. You'll find out. Coming in at my number 9 is Jason X. Now, I will say this is a badass movie poster. I love this poster. Evil gets an upgrade. Jason X. This was done beautifully. I love the space in the background. I love pre-Uber Jason. I love Uber Jason. And I've said this plenty of times. I'm a sucker for either knives or machetes like this in a movie poster with somebody's reflection in them. Love that. And then you got the title Jason X. I love the outer glow. It looks really nice. My issue with this is it doesn't look like a horror poster. This looks like some sort of weird sci-fi fantasy in which, in a way, Jason X really is, so I guess they accomplished their goal. But if you want to induce fear of Jason Voorhees, I feel like you need something darker, more sinister. Also, I remember seeing this poster for the first time and I didn't realize that this was Jason here because I hadn't seen the trailer yet and I was like, who the fuck is this? Is Jason about to fight a robot? Other than my personal pet peeves of this is really a truly amazing poster. It being a horror franchise, a horror character, a horror movie, you have to come at me with a horror poster. You got to keep it uniform. Also, Jason's really bug-eyed in these as well. He looks like goddamn H2O Michael Myers getting kicked in the nuts.
Holy shit balls!
Coming in at my number 8 is Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. This, of course, is one of my favorite Jason designs. Subscribe, motherfucker!
They ask you how you are, you just have to say.
Not my favorite movie of all time, but again, this has nothing to do with my opinion of the movies, just the posters. On Friday the 13th, Jason is back, but this time someone's waiting. I do love how they brought back the buck knife, which is something I never really understood in the Friday the 13th franchise because Jason never uses a buck knife. But I do love Jason's mask here. I love the glow effect. And I love to have Tina here. And for the first time in a long time, I never really actually noticed this pool of blood. But again, we're almost midway in the list, so the further we go, the less cons these posters have. I feel like this is a solid movie poster. Just a little pet peeve of mine, I feel like the tagline should be somewhere else. I feel like it's really obscuring the view of the knife here. I'd probably try to put the title a little bit higher and then drop that down at the bottom. I mean, that's just me. But overall, really solid movie poster here. All right, coming in at my number 7. Can you guess it? It is Friday the 13th, Part 3 or 3D. This goes back to the simple silhouette thing, but the fact that they have this shower curtain effect and the machete coming through it, I think that's a machete, unless that's supposed to be the buck knife again. The more that I look at it, yeah, that kind of looks like the buck knife again. Nah, that's gotta be a machete. I don't know. I'm a dumbass. Just check this tagline here. A new dimension in terror. Now, we all know up to this point, the first one really didn't have Jason to the end scene, but Jason decided to wake up from his damn permanent nap and go grab old girl out the boat. Oh, Alice. Part 2, we got Sackhead Jason. You know, Jason loves his sack. Jason's good in the sack. Don't cancel me.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
This is where he finally gets the iconic hockey mask, which this poster does not give that away. I gotta say, some of these foreign movie posters are out of this world. Like, they're just obnoxious. They actually have Jason with the hockey mask there. Kind of a spoiler, I guess. The only thing I really don't like about this is this text here. Friday the 13th, Part 3, 3D. Like, I get the 3D effect. The illustration of him stabbing the shower curtain, it's almost like it's coming off the page at you. It really sells that 3D effect. I don't like this text. I don't like the color. I don't like the drag effect there. But then again, not bad at all. Next. Coming in at my number 6 is Freddy vs. Jason. Now, I will make a disclaimer about this one. I actually used to have one of these posters. It was a mini poster as a kid. I'll be talking about the blue poster mostly, but even this poster is really well done. You have Freddy here, you have Jason in the standoff position. I mean, how cool is that? You got some fog in the background, bringing that eeriness. You have their respective weapons coming up. Everything you think a Freddy vs. Jason poster would be is on this poster. However, I'm just not a huge fan of the color grade. The design is flawless, but to me, it's not quite there. But let's go to the other poster, which I adore right here. Yes, let's go with this one, baby. Now, this poster right here is where it's at. There's something about having these two iconic horror characters just hidden in the shadows, but you have these highlights just expressing their uttermost emotions. Like, you can tell Freddy's pissed, he's screaming. And they have that same effect and like a glow effect and like a reflection right here on their weapons as well. This is highly detailed, even though a lot is hidden in the abyss. This poster right here, wow, like this poster right here really blows me away. To me, it is leaps and bounds better than the blue poster. I mean, oh my God, it's day and night. Like, there's no competition for me. This is the one. Coming in at my number 5, it's 2009 Remake. Now, this poster is Jason in all his glory. Jason there posted up with his machete. I feel like it's the perfect contrast, but it's also not too hidden either. It's a dark forest with the fog. I love that. You got the highlighted water right here, which I really love. You got the moonlight coming in. Jason being glowed up right here. I mean, Jason looks menacing. This is a sure change up of the other posters, and this does look more modern. It's not my favorite poster of the franchise, obviously, but this is a really solid poster. Believe it or not, my one pet peeve about this, and this might come as a shock to you because you may even wonder why the hell it bothers me. I feel like his machete right here is way too long. It's as long as his legs are.
That's what she said.
Uh-oh. Tagline, welcome to Crystal Lake. From the producers of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What you don't know, the 03 Texas Chainsaw Massacre for me, one of the GOATs. Next. Coming in at my number 4 is Jason Lives. Now, before I talk about this specific movie poster, there's one thing I want to talk about first, and that is the soundtrack cover to this movie. It is goated. Oh my God, look at this, man. Look at the illustration. You have Jason in a form of lightning superimposed over the graveyard, over his grave, as the lightning strikes it and strikes the pole, which is how Jason comes back to life in the movie. You got Jason Voorhees on the tombstone. You got Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, right over the hole. You got the clouds in the shapes of the vent holes of the hockey mask right here. I mean, truth be told, if this was on the list, this would be my number 1. Like, I've always loved this. I've always adored this. I wish I had a blown up poster of this because this is one of the greatest artworks of all time to any horror franchise. Love that, man. Love it, love it, love it. But now let's move on to the actual movie poster. Here we are in all its glory. Check the tagline first. Kill or be killed. Friday the 13th, part 6. This is very similar to the soundtrack, obviously. You have Jason's mask superimposed over Jason's grave, but instead of Jason Voorhees, it's Jason Lives. Everything about this is just nice. The glow coming out of the hockey mask is iconic. I love that. You even got some trees here. You got the iron fence where he gets the spear. You have the grass texture. You have the fog. I will tell you this though, for the first time, I just noticed this very small detail. I actually thought this hockey mask was backwards, but it's not. It's facing you. Because I just now noticed the chevron right in the middle. It's ever so subtle. There legit isn't one single thing I don't like about this poster right here. And that's a lot saying that this isn't my number 1. This is my number 4. So the other posters coming up, they about to be wild. All right, coming in my number 3 is Jason Takes Manhattan poster. I just want to reiterate, this has nothing to do with my opinion of the movie. I'm not a fan of this movie at all. But it is one of my favorite Jason designs. And I actually, when I think of the movie poster, I actually resort to the original movie poster, which was the I Love New York, and you had Jason slashing through it. That's the one that always comes to mind. But even this other one, I don't feel like it's as good. But if I had these both, my ranking wouldn't change. It would still be in this exact spot. I just wanted to show some love to this poster right here before it got canned, because it is not to be slept on. But nonetheless, let's see the one that came after, the revision. This one is nice as well. I love that they brought back the buck knife. Tagline, New York has a new problem. Kind of misleading a little bit, but we won't get into that. It's just something about Jason being superimposed over New York City like this, with the buck knife coming down. And you got the classic text of Friday the 13th, keeping it retro. And I love the redness here. This just abyss that Jason's sitting in, and just like the highlight of the city is lighting up just the middle center of his face here. Super interesting poster. It's really intriguing. Imagine Jason Voorhees going to fucking New York like he's some kind of fucking tourist. But yeah, this poster does it all for me. I love the red contrast with the other colors. Jason superimposed with the buck knife coming down, I'll say again, flawless. Absolutely flawless. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are down to my last 2. And of course, when I say the next one, you'll know my number 1. But can you guess it? Coming in at my number 2, the runner-up place is the OG, the part 1. Let me put on my horror movie trailer voice here. They were warned. They are doomed. And on Friday the 13th, nothing will save Friday the 13th. A 24-hour nightmare of terror. Not bad, right? I talked a lot about these same characteristics in my part 2 one. Having this silhouette with the buck knife, with the blood draining down here. Up to this point, I don't think anything like this has ever been done up until 1980. Like this kind of poster. I mean, having this glowing silhouette with a knife is already eerie enough. But this beautiful illustration here of just these kids in the woods. It is so intriguing because you don't know what's going on. You just know something's wrong. The eeriness of the set here, you have the moonlight, you have the empty woods, you got the cabin behind them with no power. So are they lost? Are they being stalked? That's kind of answered with the silhouette. The two contrasting designs here put together, they perfectly complement each other. Very, very fine work. Down to the last little pixel of paint drop. This is flawless. But now let's go to my number 1, and you already know what it is. It's Friday the 13th, part 4. And no, I didn't pick this just because this is my favorite Friday movie. This poster right here is so simplistic, but yet it is so powerful in the symbolism that I love it. Let's talk about it here. You have all the aspects of the original movie posters up to this point, right? You got the iconic text, Friday the 13th, in its respective font. The final chapter, meaning it's going to be the last one, you know, like the last one. And then here you just have Jason's mask. I mean, imagine Jason being unmasked in a pool of blood. And then they even brought back the buck knife. I cannot express how much I love this design. I actually remade this design for the Friday the 13th 2009 remake, which I'll show right here, just to give it like an updated look for the remake. That's how much I love this movie poster. If none of these movies has came out yet, and part 4 is about to come out, my mindset about this is, if you've been a Friday fan up to this point, and you've seen part 1, 2, and 3, and part 4 is coming out, or even if you've seen part 4, now you truly understand. The symbolism behind this design is just, it's beautiful. The blood, the buck knife through the mask, kind of symbolizes the end of Jason. My only complaint about this is that the X mark is on the wrong side, which I imagine this image is supposed to be mirrored, but even down to the buck knife going into Jason's eye. Just like Jason gets the machete in the same region at the end. This is no doubt in my mind, this is the most beautifully designed, so simple yet so effective, and the most intriguing part of the Friday the 13th franchise. Again, symbolizing that this may be the end of Jason. It makes you ask questions of the who, what, when, and why. Who's going to survive? Did Jason really survive? Did he die? That's one of the most important parts of a movie poster, is drawing the audience in. And this does that in every aspect. So there's my list, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you think. Give me your ranking down in the comments. I would love to talk about this. Let's start a thread. I love talking to you guys about this. It's one of my favorite things to do day in and day out. So I would love to know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for taking part of your day to kick it with me. You know I appreciate it. I love you all. Until next time, adios.